Hello everybody. This is going to be the first of many videos, I presume, where we put together a prototype in SketchUp of something called a Schweeb. SCHWEEB is one of the great ideas that Google has funded with part of the 10 to the 100, the Google Prize. 10 to the 100th power is a Google, if you don't know that. And so we're going to be doing this first going through in SketchUp and trying to get it to work in SketchUp, Sketchy Physics, and then doing it again within AutoCAD with the goal of sticking it out on Inventor. But mostly we're going to be talking about the similarities to the process in terms of dealing with blocks and components, dealing with axes and insertion points to design any kind of assembly as a part of sub pieces or parts. So we're going to do that because Schweeb has an international market by making sure that our model has units of millimeters. Turn that off for now. And we're going to get really good at making layers as well. So we're going to go here to Windows and pre-anticipate some layers. So I'm going to make a few of them here, like 5 for now. And the first one becomes one of the more important ones, and that is the joint axes. Okay, and that's going to be an important one because that's going to be in the end how we have to finally bind our things together. So insertion points and joint axes. Another one is going to be wheels. Another one's going to be linkages. Another one might be carriage. I'm just going to call it the Schweeb itself. And the final one might be something like a temp layer. Now you'll see that in SketchUp things work a little bit differently, but particularly here these joint axes, we want to be pretty good about doing things with that. So we're going to start with that joint axis, and we're going to start by designing a kind of a wheel assembly that is going to ride on top to keep our Schweeb on the, and we'll have to figure out the Schweeb words for this, or basically on the track. So I've set that to my current layer. Colors are not going to make a big difference in a lot of these things, but later on we'll see how you can change the color within SketchUp to deal with changing the color of lines, etc. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start and just draw my first axes. And like I talk about in AutoCAD, making that first axis, and I'm going to make it a meter long actually, because it's not that important for now that the axis is the right length. So I'm going to start there, and now if you notice down in the bottom right, I'm going to hit a hard bracket, which is a square bracket, which is just above the negative, just above the comma, hard bracket, and I want to go to 0 in the X, 0 in the Y, and 1,000 in the Z, and I'm closing it with a hard bracket. And what I've always got to do is I've got to draw this next line, hit a space bar to finish the command, and then erase this next line. You can now go to Zoom Extents and then look around at something like that and go to Zoom Extents, and you see your line there. Now, in this program, like in AutoCAD, you've got a visual clue hanging out there that's supposed to help you, but it sometimes hurts you. In AutoCAD, to turn off the icon, you say UCS icon. In this program, you turn off the axis, and you've kind of got the bottom point there. That said, I'm going to turn those back on for a second so I can always learn to draft something with a box around, so we can always grab a face. So I'm going to grab and draft a box here. I did that with a rectangle command. I'm going to say P for push. I'm holding my left mouse button and I'm pushing up. And as we want to do, I'm going to right away grab across things, right click, and make it a group. You're going to notice that there isn't a one-to-one relationship between AutoCAD and SketchUp. So group is more or less a little bit less than a block. But you'll see again that in PowerPoint when you're doing PowerPoint. Now I'm going to make my first wheel. I'm going to make my first Schweeb a little bit large. So the wheel I'm going to think about is going to be in the order of 6 inches in diameter. which is 3 inches in radius, which is 75. So as I go ahead here and draft now a circle, before I draft the circle, I might want to put it on a particular layer. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Window, Layers, and this time I'm going to leave the layers around off to the side. I'm going to actually draw the circle on the wheels here. And so now when I draw a circle here, I can grab that. I'm coming out and I can give it a radius. Now I'm just tabbing or going down to that box on the bottom right. But I can, in this program, draft first and then say 150, which isn't what I want. I want 75. And it does it. I now can P for push. I'm pushing that out, and I'm going to make it 1 inch, 2 inches across, I guess, which is, 1 inch across, which is 25.4, but we'll just leave these at 25 because we're designing in metric. I now have, essentially, I have what is one of the wheel patterns, and I have an axis there. And in reality, I'm going to keep them both together because in the end, I'm going to get rid of all these axes. But for now, I'm going to take now and make that a component. So I'm going to grab across there. And in this program, I'm going to go Edit, Make Component. I'm going to do this, though I might want to first make it a group and then a component. So I'm actually going to think about that. So I'm going to basically go ahead and make this. Remember, right to left or left to right. I'm going to go right to left, and now I did not grab that axis, and I'm going to go Edit, Make it a group. And now I'm going to go right to left and Edit, Make it a component. Now I notice here this will look different than you have at school, but I'm going to call this my large wheel underscore large. Alright, as I do that, glue to, I'm going to set component axes. I don't want to glue to anything here. Set component axis, and I want to put that component axis in something that makes sense, and that might be the 0, 0, it might be the middle of the wheel, but I'm going to go ahead and put it at the bottom of the wheel here, so I'm going to hit escape now as I jump around. I'm going to grab that 0 point, grab the x-axis, and grab the y-axis, and now that sets the component with those axes. Now that component you're going to see later, we're going to come back to and change that axes in a little bit. So now I'm going to take and move that component off to the side. So I'm taking and grabbing, going to my M command or move over here, picking my point, move it off to the side. I'm going to go now and draft that next interior wheel. That wheel, you can envision on the Schweeb, might be something that's kind of going to be grabbing our track. So we're going to have a smaller wheel on the inside, kind of like a rail wheel if you would think. And we can once again now go to Layers, set my layer back to Join Axes, once again draft that line. This time I can kind of, don't need to look at it, I can kind of go up and say 1,000. Again, for me, I've got to go over here, click on this, grab it, and erase it. I don't have it mastered how to kind of end a command in the middle, so you just draft that extra line. You learn your way around the software. You're going to now draft another circle, this time a lot smaller. This is going to be something, but it's going to have to be strong enough to hold it, so instead of 75, you might be coming out 50. And I'll do that same 1 inch. I'm sorry, you'll do 1 inch. So P for push, grab the face, left, go here, and then you can type in 25. Once again, I put that all on the wrong layer. So now I can grab things here, grab across, hit right click, entity info, and I can change that to wheels. So I have, in every case, I have the right click. I'm clicking and keeping my mouse on top, right click, entity info, that is join axes. So now I once again will make a group and then a block. Go across here, right click, make group, go across the other way, go across the other way, right click, make component. Important, important, important to lay out and think about where your, I'm going here to my zoom around commands. I'm going to name that a wheel 2 or wheel small. And if you're noticing, as I started, I didn't keep that great habit of using a capital in the front of my names, but we'll see how we do it. I'm going to set component axes. Once again, it'd be nice to just type them in, but I don't know how to do that, some of these commands. But we're going to grab that one command here, grab out my x-axis, grab my y. I've got a second one. And you notice each time it replaced my selection with the component. So I'm going to create. Okay, we now have essentially 2 components. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off to the side. They are components, so later on, like blocks, I can play around with them. Now I'm going to show you the same concept as you would then do in AutoCAD of nesting blocks, and that is done by this. I'm going to take this one here and stack them on top of each other. So if I grab here, now you're going to notice if I grab it, it's going to have hopefully a logical 0, 0 point. I can grab the component and I can move that exactly. I want to move it to someplace, so I can open hard bracket and say 0, 0, 0, close bracket. Should take it exactly to where I want to go. And I can do the same thing here. And I want to go not 0, 0, 0, but 0, 0, 25. We'll see how that works. I grab here. I go to that and try to grab it at its entry point, and I can then say to hold bracket, hard bracket, 0, 0, 25. Close bracket. Learning that there's a one-to-one correspondence in most programs. I'm zooming out. I've got 2 on top of each other. You see at some point there we probably have what we need, because this is going to finally hook into something else. So this is the final bit. We're going to once again, and who knows whether I put things on the right layers here. You see my current here, that there, and this. What layer are they on that? Let's see. Entity info. They're on joint axes. Which one is this on? Right click, entity info. On wheels. So I'd really like this one to be right click, entity info on wheels. And now finally I'm going to make another block, another component that's comprised of the 2. So I'm going to take those 2 together and grab across this way, right click, make component, or edit, make component. Make component, we're going to call this wheel assembly. We're going to set our component axes. I'm going to grab here, 1, 2. This one in the end we might grab it someplace else, like the vertical. I'm going to leave that at none, and I'm going to replace, and I'm going to create. We now have one component that we can deal with individually, and so I'll just kind of show you how this is going to work so you get a kind of feel for the process. I'm going to make a little track here that's really not a track, but I'm going to make it look like a track. Hit P for push, and now I can take this here and I can go ahead and grab, rotate, hold my shift key, grab this, turn it 90 degrees, and in the end I can finally, I hope, be able to grab this, pull it from some logical snap point and put it right up on top there. Of course that's a little low, so where that insertion point is going to be, we might want to be putting that insertion point someplace else later. I'm zooming in and out and running out of time. I'm just going to quickly show you I can take that, say move, hit control, go like this. I'm making 2 down the pike, and then I'm just going to say 4 times. Thanks for listening. We'll move on.